to the Husker Doc Talk Podcast. Good to have you back. Thank you for being patient with us. This is now the first of our weekly podcast all the way through the season. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, subscribe to the Doc Talk channel. Also give this video a like, start leaving your comments. And you can also follow us on the social medias. You can follow Dr. Rob on X at Doc Talk Sports. Make sure to take time to like our Facebook page as well. Rob is wearing his Grow Women's Wrestling shirt today.
Our youngest daughter, last one out of the house, heads off to college, going to Lehigh University to go to school.
And wrestle.
And to wrestle. So.
You know, you and I are going to be in very similar situations, and that is we're going to be empty nesters. So you are going to be an empty nester on Tuesday, I believe?
Yeah, Tuesday morning, 5 a.m.
Ooh, that's really early. I'm going to be an empty nester 2 weeks from today. We drive Greta down to Savannah, Georgia, and dropping her off 20 hours away is going to be really, really weird. And my wife and I are going to have to learn how to, cohabitate together.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I mean, I was going to say, yeah, that's the big twist. But I mean, as far as like having kids far away, you talk about that 20-hour gap. I mean, two daughters went to Loyola of New Orleans. You got Owen, who, like, he's jet setting with his band. He's producing podcasts. He's
a carpenter.
He's like working a crew at MCL Construction. I mean, and
he's been working on the studio, and I can report that, our remote location is about to come to an end. We're very, very close to getting the studio done. We got the floor in. It's all painted. We got to put an acoustical wall up. But I think in the next couple of weeks, crossing our fingers, we should be 1 week, he says. 1 week, he says. And speaking of that.
Is the fridge going to be in?
The fridge will be in, and it'll be fully stocked with beer.
Important stuff.
I haven't had a beer in like a year and a half. I may christen the new studio with a beer. I don't want to like turn you down this dark path towards weight gain. Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. I've been able to keep it off, and we were talking about that. It's amazing when you learn how to eat properly, how you can maintain your weight.
Well, I think the other thing is we got to like do stuff like not have in-person interviews with like Joe Moglia, where we got like this table full of dead soldiers at the end of the podcast.
A life update. Since the last time we talked, I became a grandfather.
Dude, I was just thinking that. Producer Owen's an uncle.
That's right.
Dude, you got old. Uncle Owen, Grandpa Trav. So my daughter Abigail had a baby. They live in Mississippi. And Sutton Agnes May Turner. Outstanding.
Yeah, that's a very southern name, too.
That is an Oxford, Mississippi name right there.
The name Sutton means Southern Homestead. So
does it really?
Yes, that's why they picked it. So
outstanding.
And we didn't know the name before she was born. So when we found out, we were like, oh, we knew it was going to be a girl, but we didn't know what the name was going to be.
Did they have it picked out?
They had it picked out, but the only person that knew was my daughter Greta, because Greta is the best one in the family to keep a secret. I don't know if you have one of those kids that's able to keep a secret really, really well. I'll take that as a no. See, Greta can keep a secret, and she's very good at it. It's because she knew for like 3 months and didn't tell us. She's like, I know the name, but I'm not telling you. I know the name.
Oh, she told you she knew.
Oh yeah, she let us know she knew the name, and she just held it in her back pocket and did not let it out.
That's brutal.
So yeah, we're gonna be empty nesters. That means we're grandparents now, and we're by ourselves, and we'll be walking around the neighborhood in our Gdefy shoes. And
I got my new ones on.
Oh, can you put them up in the air? Can you get that leg straight up?
I don't know if I've got that.
Okay, he doesn't.
Hold on.
Rob's getting off his brand new Gdefy shoes.
This is like a freaking workout.
If you want to be like Dr. Rob, and those are stylish. Those are real stylish.
I like what they've done with some of the newer ones. But I mean, it's still, the ankle support's great. The arch support's freaking amazing on these things. So I wear these things everywhere now. But this is most recent pair I picked up, which it's It's the Accelerate.
Ooh, that's a good-looking shoe. If you want to wear what Dr. Rob wears, if you want to wear what I wear.
That's the VersaCloud Accelerate.
Go to Gdefy.com. That's Gdefy.com. And when you check out with an order over $100, go ahead and use the promo code DocTalk50. That's the promo code DocTalk50. And you can be walking around in style, walking around on air with its VersaShock technology. And your feet will feel great. Your ankles will feel great. Your legs will feel great, and you'll have the best run, walk of your life. Trust us on that, right?
No, they're great, yes. That's the most recent pair I got, so I've been wearing those.
Nice. You know, a lot has happened. We haven't been podcasting very much for a number of reasons. It's been a weird summer. We went through it on the last one. The remote location adds a little twist into it. But a lot has happened with Nebraska football. Most recently, and you had a tweet that said you just threw up in your mouth a little bit, is that Nebraska launched its alternative uniforms for a game coming up later in the season. They're going to wear black. And I know how you feel about all whites. How do you feel about the black scheme?
It's not my fave, which, I mean, technically it's not all black because the helmets are white.
Yes, with the black end and the black stripe.
Yeah, So so here's the thing, and a lot of people are like, okay, Rob, you're being get off my lawn guy, which I am a little bit. I'm not a super big fan of the whole alternative uniform things. That being said, I'm not sure. I'm not completely opposed to them. There's been a few over the years that I actually really did like. I remember the ones, and it was Ndamukong Suh and Roy Helu wearing them in sort of the
throwback ones?
The PR, the release form that had, it was the throwback ones it was kind of designed to look like Nebraska's uniforms from like 1964 or something like that, where it was just the number, like the stylized numbers on the helmet and had that like 60s stylized number on the chest. I liked those a lot.
Because that was a throwback to an original Nebraska uniform.
Yeah, but it kind of clicked. I mean, something about them just worked. Those were clean. I thought they were stylish. I thought those were cool. Like, that's something I want to see them do, that uniform one game every single year. And then come up with, I'd be cool if they did that one game every year and then did another alternate uniform for a second game. Like, I'm literally proposing, do a couple of alternate uniforms. Do that like 1962 style or whatever year that was. Do that like one game a year every year. I freaking love that. So I'm not completely opposed to it. It's almost more of this. What's Nebraska's main team color?
It is crimson.
Yeah, it's red.
It's red.
Go Big Red. Okay, there's not an ounce of red on that freaking uniform.
Zero.
That drives me nuts. And the other thing is for some reason, everybody wants to keep gravitating towards defense ideology when it comes to Nebraska uniforms. Everybody wants to, like, we need black. We need more black. We got to get all the black in there because we're the black shirts. It's like, no, fuck that shit. We're the pipeline. Okay, fine. If you're going to do an all black alternate uniform, come up with a pipeline uniform. Come up with an offense uniform.
What would that be?
I don't know. Red.
I don't like the all red scheme. I like the red jersey. I like the white pants.
Yeah, stripes on the pants, by the way.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, if I had to go in order of dislike, I mean, I dislike the all reds less than I dislike the all whites and the all black. So I don't know. I mean, I'll take it. At least it's the damn school color.
Well, that's fair. That's because black is not part of the color scheme at all for the University of Nebraska, right?
And again, I totally get the whole black shirt thing, but guess what? That's half the team. There's another half too. So it's like, slapping the black shirt logo on the offensive guy's jersey. Like, when I played, that would have been considered a freaking insult. Like, we would have been in the equipment manager's office with a seam ripper pulling those patches off.
Is there that much divide, or is it just that much pride?
Yes. Yeah, it's just one of those. It's like, I mean, if somebody asked, back when the black shirts were the frickin' black shirts and they were really good, which honestly, they've had some outstanding teams. And last year's Nebraska defense was outstanding. Like if you went to a good Nebraska defense and said, hey guys, we want you to wear an offense-specific logo for your alternate uniform. You think they're going to be sitting there going like, dude, that's a great idea. They're going to be like, okay, not liking this, but fine, I guess.
I'm just trying to figure out where, and I know Oregon started it, where this alternative uniform, it used to be a recruiting tool, and I understand that, but in today's day and age of NIL and paying players.
I think you're going to see that falling off a bit.
And I'm a traditionalist. I'm showing my age here, but I'm a traditionalist. When it comes to uniforms, the truth is I like simplicity, and I like consistency. Nebraska has been very simple. It's been very consistent over time with the red N and the red jerseys. Penn State is very simplistic. Alabama. USC hasn't changed. Iowa hasn't changed.
Auburn.
I mean,
Georgia.
Just very consistent. And when you see that team on the field, you know who you're playing. There's something about it, right?
No, and I love that. And that part of me loves that as well, too. And I've talked about this before, that there's sort of this idea of, listen, if you need an alternate uniform to be a good football team, I think you're kind of pulling away from the things that you ought to be thinking about. There's a lack of, to me, it always felt like a lack of focus. I mean, it's now, and I get it. I understand. It's like, okay, well, you got to have a little bit of fun along the way here. I understand that as well, too, but it almost seems more of a distraction in my mind.
You know, one thing that's been a distraction has been the college football playoff. They can't come to an agreement on the expansion of 16 teams, and of course, the seeding is going to change this year. We're going to stay at 12. The Big Ten and the SEC can't come together on the expansion to 16. The Big Ten yesterday launched, and this would be music to Nebraska fans' ears, and that is they're going to throw out a proposal, or floating it right now, of 24 or 28 teams, with getting rid of the conference championship games, which I'm not opposed to, and then you would have 7 guaranteed from the Big Ten, 7 guaranteed from the SEC, 5 guaranteed from the Big 12, 5 guaranteed from the ACC, and I think 2 guaranteed from everybody else, and then you'd have 2 at-large bids. Rob, if you're a Nebraska fan, you go, like, the top 7 are going to get in every year. There's no reason Nebraska would not be in the top 7 every single year in the Big Ten, at least going forred the way I see it, the way expectations are. Yeah, I know, back up and punt, but
yeah, you would think, but no, I've been proposing this for a decade. That they look at NAIA, look at D2, look at FCS. What's FCS?
Division I AA.
You know what I mean.
What is it? 24, I believe.
Yeah. D2 does 28. They do. I think it's the top 7 teams in 4 different regions all go. NAIA, I thought they were 32. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
D3, I thought, was 24. But maybe. Anyway, now the other thing that's interesting about that, though, when we talk about that, and I think the reason doing 20, 24, 28, why that seems like a lot, is that percentage-wise it kind of is. I mean, the comparison is that in Division II football, I got to go back and double-check. I think there's 160-some total teams in Division II football. So there's a lot of teams. And so 28 percentage-wise, it's a small percentage still. So when you look at who all's making the playoffs, in Division II football, making the playoffs is a big deal. You got 160-some teams. If you're in the top 28, that's a big deal. So if you're making the playoffs, you're home running it every year. So it is not an easy division to make the playoffs in. And again, when you look at NAIA football, same thing. If there's 28, 32, whatever it is that are making the playoffs, it's a lot of NAIA teams playing football. So, I mean, if you want a comparison right now, I mean, look at Nebraska alone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, You got Doane, Hastings, Midland, Concordia, York. I mean, that's a lot of teams out there. So every state has at least usually 3 to 5 NAIA schools. That's a lot of NAIA schools playing football.
Well, it's because a lot of those Division III teams have gone to NAIA, or even some Division II teams. Morningside's a good example. Morningside was Division II for years, went to NAIA, and had tremendous success winning national titles. But
which, I mean, there's actually been a few that have moved up to D2 even. I mean, University of Sioux Falls went from NAIA to D2. I'm not supposed to talk about that school, but anyway. I think really recently, Jamestown University, a North Dakota school, they went from NAIA to D2 recently as well. That was just within the last year and a half.
But am I wrong to say the expectation should be, and there's no reason not to think, that if you went to a 24 or 2018 playoff, that Nebraska would be in every single year?
Should be. Yeah, I'm not saying there would be, but I think there should be, and I think that's a valid argument to make. That because you're at that point, you're basically that's saying you got to be in the top third of the conference.
Which is the expectation. I mean, Nebraska fans expect to be in the playoff hunt, whether it's 4, 8, 12, you name it. They or 16. They expect to be in the hunt. This almost guarantees it.
When it was the 4-team playoff. That was tough to make. It really was. I mean, you had 10 and 11 win teams not making it. So you look at it that way. It kind of underscores how tough that was. But that's part of the reason why I loved that expansion, because when you get that expansion, all of a sudden, people argue with me about this all the time. All of a sudden, the regular season, in my mind, becomes more important because you've got a chance for a lot of these other schools to get in. Every freaking game matters now, because if you don't beat so and so week in, week out, here comes SMU. Here comes Boise. Here comes these other schools that you don't think would normally be in there. All of a sudden, they're now creeping up on you, because now everybody's got a shot at a piece of the pie.
Well, what I like about it, if you go to a 16-team playoff, you're going to have no different than you have with a 12-team, is that you're going to have the same arguments for 17 and 18. It's like, well, we're better than them. This almost guarantees the entire top 25 gets into the playoff.
And I'm fine with that, and I understand that argument. But my counter argument to that, and I feel, I mean, these are opinions, so it's all emotional. But my emotional opinion on it is that if you're the 17th or 18th team, or let's say we go to 28, and let's do what D2 does. If you're the 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd team on the outside looking in, you're that bubble team at 30 or 31, that is a hell of a softer argument than if you're the 5th or 6th ranked team in the country.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm always like, nah, expand this shit. And like, that's a null argument in my mind, because if you're the 5th ranked team, if you're Florida State from a couple of years ago, you got an argument. You were a now Power 4 conference title winner who didn't get into the playoff. And now everybody's like, well, look at what Georgia did to them in the bowl game. It's like,
yeah, but they didn't play with any of their players. I mean,
literally, like something. It was like 20% of their roster opted out of the bowl game. So that's a stupid argument right there. But if you're the 5th, 6th ranked team and you don't get into a 4-team playoff, guess what? You got an argument. And that's the thing I've always thought about NC2A basketball. If you're Nebraska and you're on that bubble, you end up finishing 67th or whatever, and you don't get into the NC2As in basketball, that's your own damn fault. Like, if you're the 5th ranked team in college football and you don't get into a 4-team playoff, okay, yeah, you might have an argument that there's some political factors that worked against you in this process here. So that's why I wanted to see the expansion, open this up, and then playoff football is freaking amazing. I mean, it's, again, go back to the fact that you got Ohio State. Now, I wholeheartedly agree that the seeding was messed up this past year. That it was idiotic how they seeded
Well, they
it.
fixed that, though.
And so they did fix it. I appreciate that. But you had the 8th seeded team won the national title. All the ones got beat. So every 1 seed got beat. Imagine an NC2A basketball tournament where every single 1 seed gets beat. I mean, I know it happens,
yeah.
but it's usually that 1 seed getting beat in the national finals, maybe by a 2 seed. It just doesn't happen that much. I mean, that's a huge anomaly. And so last year we saw that. And again, it was because the seeding was messed up. But at the same time, you had an Ohio State team that lost to Michigan, almost lost to Nebraska.
Should have lost to Nebraska.
Yeah, winning the national title. And it wasn't, that was not a close playoff run. They got their shit together and ran that table. None of those games were really close. Texas,
true,
little close. But for the most part, nobody really touched Ohio State in the playoffs. And that's the thing that happens with playoff football. And that's why I think it's a lot of fun, is that the regular season still matters, because you don't want to be that 17th, 18th ranked team on the outside looking in, or the 29th or 30th on the outside looking in. Every game matters. And it matters for seeding purposes. So I think those are stupid arguments when it comes to expansion, but I want to see that, because I mean, playoff football is freaking amazing. And like I said, here's the other thing. All football, all divisions, all levels, pro, college, etc. This is the last football league anywhere that didn't have a true playoff, and we finally got.
We're almost there.
Yeah, we're like 98% there. If they went to 16, I'd like to see more, but I could live with 16. And they will get there. I know we started off this discussion by bringing up the fact that
I want to get rid of the conference championship games and go to 28. I think that ends all debate on who belongs in the playoff. You all right there? Did you lose a lung?
I just about inhaled my cough. I don't know if it ends all debate, but
the argument for 29, 30, and 31 is a lot less than it is for right now 13, 14, and 15.
I'll give you that. The one thing that always bugged me about the conference championship games is, because I think if the conference title winners get the automatic bid coming out of a conference title game, the thing that screws that up in my mind is I think back to there's dozens of examples where you got a conference and you've got a weaker division, you got a stronger division, and the winner of that weaker division pulls off a miraculous upset in the conference title game. I mean, granted, it was the first one ever, but think about the Big 12 title game when Texas upsets Nebraska back after the 96 season. That wasn't a very good Texas team. They were very okay. Well, there's your automatic bid from the conference right there if we had a full playoff. I think getting rid of the conference title games eliminates those. Really? They made it in?
Yeah, but I would say anymore, the way they're set up, both of the number 2 teams in a lot of those conference title games are going to get in anyway, especially coming from the SEC and the Big Ten.
Totally agree. But it prevents one of those teams that has like a weird upset from being your automatic representative. Now, you made the point that if they go to a 28-team playoff, well, top 7 from the SEC and the Big Ten are getting in, 5 from Big 12 and ACC. So you can be the 5th ranked team and you're still getting in. So,
of course, Nebraska kicks off the season in less than 2 weeks against Cincinnati at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. I know a lot of people are going to be making the trip to Arrowhead Stadium to watch the Huskers take on the Bearcats. And you want to go properly dressed. And the best place to get your gear for the game would be Husker Hounds. Go to the Mega Store over there on 84th and Center. There are 2 locations in the Omaha area. Scott Strunk is stocked up for the 2025 season. So we talked about the alternative uniforms. He'll have some options for you there. He'll have it could be pretty warm, so you can start with the summer attire, then transition into early fall, and then even the winter attire by the time the season is over. Go to HuskerHounds.com to get your Husker gear and make sure you're decked out in red, black, white, whatever you feel to be decked out in. That's
red.
Husker Hounds, and you can also buy online at HuskerHounds.com. And when you need law advice, and sometimes you need a lawyer, Connor Orr is the person to talk to and do all your estate planning, do your litigation. Connor's a good friend of the show, been part of the podcast for several years now. So go to orlawgrp.com. That's orlawgrp.com. And for anything you need law-wise, Connor is your man, and the Orr Law Group. They are there to help you out. So we mentioned kicking the season off with Cincinnati. I'm going to ask you right now. I'm just going to ask you. I didn't even go over this. They play on a Thursday night. Do you want to do a live call-in show after the game? Do you want to go live after the game?
We could probably make that
We
work.
could probably make that happen.
Let's do that.
All right. So there you go. We plan on Thursday night after the game, and it's going to be a late one, but we'll do a live call-in show after the game, and then we'll have to get together and do a podcast maybe on Saturday because I leave Sunday for Savannah. But so plan on that after the game. We'll go live after the Cincinnati game and take your phone calls and get your thoughts on everything that happened in the Huskers season opener. Of course, the over-under for Nebraska win total is 7.5. Call me crazy, Rob, and we're going to go through the schedule right now. If Nebraska only wins 7 games this year, so they hit the under, is that a success or is that a failure? Because right now it's only success and failure. This is year 3 of Matt Rhule.
I can't say a wash.
It's not a wash.
Because I think last year I picked 7. Although I picked 7 regular season wins.
And that's what we're talking about here, are regular season wins.
And wasn't the over-under last year 7.5 as well?
I think it was, if I remember correctly. But this is year 3. And the truth is, you look at what Indiana did last year in year 1 under Kurt Cignetti and going to the playoff, the turnaround time now is less. And I know you want to build a culture, you want to build a foundation, but this has to be the year Nebraska takes that next step, right? We're talking 8 wins. We're talking 9 wins. We're talking possibly 10 wins.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is if you look at I call it the Rhule model. I mean, year 3 at Temple, that was when they took off. Year 3 at Baylor, that's when they had that breakout year. I think a lot of people have been looking at that in that regard. And I kind of go back to some of this stuff is amazingly hard to predict. And the reason I say that is you look at last year, hindsight 2020. But you look at last year, you were 1 play away from beating Iowa. 1 play, 1 defensive breakdown, that game changed. Now, granted, there was about another dozen plays where on offense they should have put the ball into the end zone or scored more points. So that's on the offense. But you take away 1 play from that game, there's an 8-win season.
True.
You take away 1 play from the Illinois game, there's a 9-win season. You take away about 3 to 5 plays each from either UCLA or USC, now you're at a 10-win season. Take away 1 play away from the Ohio State game, there's an 11-win season. So you're talking about a team that was less than a dozen plays from potentially being a playoff team last year. That's potentially being a playoff
But ifs and buts are candy and nuts every day be Christmas.
And I get them. And my bigger point on this isn't we should have been a playoff team. It's not the ifs and buts. It's how close are these guys to being a 10 or 11 win season. I mean, this is a team that is really, really close to being a 10 or 11 win season. The tempering on that optimism is that they're like 5 to 10 plays away from being a 7-win season. So that's the thing about it in terms of how close they are. I would like to think year 3, given with this staff, you look at some of the in-season changes they made last year on offense, you would like to think, give them an entire offseason with Holgorsen and the changes he brought in on that staff, you would think it would lock stuff in a hell of a lot better. At the same time, too, you think an entire offseason with Butler and some of the changes with that defensive staff as well, that again, that's going to gel a little bit more. And again, I understand you had some big losses off that defense. I still think they got some horses up front. I mean, they don't have Nash. They don't have Ty Robinson. Those guys are outstanding freaking players. But they've still got some horses up front, and I think this is a defense that can still be very, very good. So I would hope that when you look at those 10, 12 plays that kept Nebraska from winning 10 or 11 games, I would hope a few of those things get cleaned up. And as you move into this season, you start making some of those plays, and all of a sudden, instead of a 7-win season, we're looking at a 9-win season, which this is the first time in a few years I've done this where we've gone to the schedule, and I think I'm picking the over.
And I've been traditionally on the over the last couple of years. I know everybody thinks I'm a hater. I'm not. And I've been more optimistic than you the last couple of seasons. And let's start with Cincinnati. They open up with the Bearcats at Arrowhead Stadium. Nebraska is the road team, but will have the home field advantage based on proximity.
I mean, for a neutral site game, this is about as home game you can get.
And I think Nebraska opens up with a win.
I do too. It's one that I got this one picked as a win for Nebraska. That being said, this is kind of the sort of that like black hole. I don't know enough about Cincinnati, and I haven't followed them close enough to know what kind of changes they've made this offseason personnel-wise to try and get better. And so it's one of those teams you worry about. Plus, it's that opening game of the season.
There will be mistakes.
There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be some turnovers. There's going to be some penalties that you got to get cleaned up. And Cincinnati's not a crap team. It's not Houston Christian.
Fair.
So you got a team that's they've got some talent on that team. You don't exist in the state of Ohio without having some talent on the damn team. And so I worry about it, but I do have it picked as a win.
And I think it's safe to say we're just going to jump over Akron and Houston Christian, saying those are both wins. So Nebraska opens the season 3-0, then gets Michigan at home on September 20th. Again, Sherrone Moore is going to be, I believe, missing that game because of the penalties that were handed down to Michigan by the NCAA. A $20 million fine, another suspension. But playing at home, not having a head coach on the sideline, I like Nebraska in this game. So
this is one I actually have picked as a loss.
Really?
Well, with Moore gone, the whole head coach suspension thing. Now, is he suspended from helping with team prep the whole week?
No, I don't think so.
You're not there at the game coaching.
I think it's you're not at the game coaching.
Yeah, that doesn't. I think if you're a solid coach and you've got a good staff and you've got a well prepared team, then I'm not sure that makes a huge difference. Does it make a difference? Yes. I don't think it makes a huge difference. And the thing that worries me, though, is I look at Michigan late in the season this past year.
They were playing good football.
They played good football. They had a great game plan against Ohio State. Ohio State, again, you can say anything you want about them shooting themselves in the foot, playing tentative, not playing well. Michigan came out and punched them in the face and won that game. They played really aggressively to the final whistle. They beat Ohio State. That was a fair win in my mind. And then they knock off, again, I understand it's not Nick Saban, but they knocked off a solid, reasonably well coached Alabama team. And I think DeBoer is a great coach. I think Alabama is going to be an outstanding program moving forward with him. It was year one. There's going to be a few miscues anytime it's year one. That was a good Alabama team that Michigan beat in the bowl game. And so I'm looking at Michigan right now going like, okay, hold on a second. They kind of got their shit together last third of the season, started putting some games together and playing, in my opinion, some very good football. And not a lot has changed from that team going into this year. So I'm looking at them and thinking that's actually my first loss. So I got them at 3-1 at that point.
I got them at 4-0. Then comes the one where your heartstrings are pulled a little bit. Michigan State comes to Lincoln. They got better. I still think Nebraska playing at home, and in my book, going to be 4-0. That momentum keeps going. I got them beating Michigan State.
I think this is a rebound over the state of Michigan. I think they go to 4-1 on this game for me. So they beat Michigan State.
Then they hit the road and go to Maryland. This is a big year for Maryland. I think you could see a coaching change at Maryland at the end of the season. He's done a decent job, but they have a hard time competing NIL-wise. He even admitted during Big Ten Media Days.
Pleading for fan support.
And then basically said he lost the team last year because of disagreements over payment of players. I mean, there became jealousy, and I just think that's a little bit of chaos. I got him winning at Maryland. I got him. I got a win there too. So that's 5-1, and I got him 6-0.
I'm doing my math here. So yeah. So
now the interesting one.
So I got him 5-1 after Maryland.
Now the interesting one is Minnesota. They go to Minnesota. I've got the Gophers as one of my surprise teams in the Big Ten. PJ Fleck, whether you like him or not, he's a polarizing dude, but he's consistent. I mean, they are. I mean, they may not have all the wins stacked up. You know, he's never lost a bowl game at Minnesota, which is incredible. And as for as flashy as they can be, they are a pound the rock type of team.
Yeah.
And this is one I struggle in. I think Minnesota gets the win at Minnesota.
I've got this as a win too. So I got them at 5-2.
So I got them at 6-1. You got them at 5-2, and then comes Northwestern. That's a win.
I got that as a win as well. Again, I think they've got a good coaching staff. So this is an exercise here in my mind of NIL. They just don't have the NIL. They just don't have the money to pay the guys.
They got the money for a really nice new stadium and a really nice practice facility,
yeah.
But that's all they got money for.
Yeah, so it's God bless them. They were kind of like the little engine that could for a lot of years in the Big Ten over the last 20 years here. This is a school that really, really struggles in the NIL era.
Then you come to November, where it starts to get really interesting. November is going to be hard for Nebraska. It's going to be really, really hard. You got the November 1st game. They're going to be wearing those alternative uniforms against USC. Big year for Lincoln Riley. Huge year for Lincoln Riley. I just don't know. He hasn't been able to get consistent. You know, and but I look at the UCLA game in Lincoln last year where you're like, where did that happen? I'm kind of torn with this one, but I'm going to believe if Nebraska only has one loss going in the USC game, you start to see the playoffs on the horizon, the fans start to get behind it, and I'm going to go with a win here.
So this is the momentum game in my mind. I think this is the one they kind of turn it around and pick up a win here against USC.
Then they go to UCLA. There's payback there. I'm not sold. I'm not sold. Last year was a weird game against UCLA. It was just
agreed.
I thought Nebraska was a better team than UCLA.
Agreed.
Now they didn't look like it on the field. I mean, no.
That was maybe, in my opinion, the worst looking Nebraska team I've seen under Matt Rhule. It looked like guys were not prepared, mentally not ready, emotionally not there. And you can't be overly emotional and play well. But you've got to have, there's an emotional level, and Osborne was a genius at getting his teams to this. There's an emotional level you got to get to. It can't be too high, can't be too low, but there's a kind of this medium high, not overly excited, but medium high emotional level you got to bring yourself to. And then you got to keep yourself there for an entire day. Pre-game, during the game. You've got probably about 6 hours of incredibly stable, but kind of medium high emotional, I don't know the word for it, fortitude you got to get to. And if you can't get there, you're not going to play good football. But at the same time too, to be able to play well, you got to maintain that for hours. They had none of that. That last year's UCLA game was, I went in and I'm like, God, it's like they're a bunch of automatrons that woke up hungover. Nobody slept the night before. They just sort of stumbled out there, got punched in the face, and about 4 minutes into the fourth quarter, everybody looked up at the scoreboard and went like, wait a second, when did the game start? That was the feeling I got watching them last year. I think they overcome it. So I think and again, you talk about this potential for a playoff push here. This is the game that I look at where I think they kind of pull that out, and all of a sudden, now they're on a roll. They got a really strong momentum going. Kind of what like Indiana had when Indiana played Nebraska last year. Nobody was beating Indiana that day. If Ohio State played Indiana on the day that Indiana played Nebraska, Ohio State loses that game.
I would agree with you.
So this is that momentum game that just carries, and I think UCLA gets beat.
So I've got them with one loss. You've got them at 2 losses with 2 games to go. They go to Penn State. This is a loss.
I got this one as a loss as well. So this is my 3rd loss.
And James Franklin has a hard time winning the big game. And, listen, he's had really good teams at Penn State. Hasn't been able to win the big game when you get in the playoffs and not able to finish. But they're ranked, number 2 in the AP poll, number 3 in the coaches poll. And those are all subjective. Nobody's played a game yet. That's a hard. I watch everybody do content and talk about, what to expect. You can make all the guesses you want, but the truth is, until you watch a team physically play and execute, you can't really.
You've got no idea.
You have no idea. This is why it's hard to talk about, what could happen, because it's easy to see the talent there, but until you see somebody execute, but we know, I think right now Penn State's just more of a proven commodity than Nebraska is. And
it's a pretty damn good commodity.
It is.
Because here's the other thing. They went into the playoff last year and did win games.
Yes.
So that's... if you went to a Nebraska fan and said, hey, you're going to get 9 to 11 wins, go to the playoff and get at least 1 win in the playoff every year, most Nebraska fans are going to be like, great, I will take that 100%. That's where Penn State's at right now. It's the 2 versus 3 ranking versus, well, maybe are they really that high, or are they maybe more like a 5th, 6th, 7th? We'll figure that out once the season gets started. It's a damn good team. That's a bitch of a place to play. And they got a lot of talent and a lot of experience coming back on that team. You got a returning quarterback. God, that's a tough combination to get a win at. So I got them as a loss.
So you got them at 3 losses here. I've got them at 2. And then they end the season at home against Iowa. And people are going to go, oh, here. I think the last couple of years I've actually picked Nebraska to beat Iowa. Iowa's interesting this year. They're rebuilding a lot on defense. Iowa's always been good, if not great, on defense.
Special teams, just don't turn the ball over on offense, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and offensively this year, Iowa's going to be a lot better if Mark Gronowski, who transferred from South Dakota State, can stay. If he gets hurt, there's no depth at quarterback, no reliable depth. They got a good running back room. Their wide receivers are better. Their O-line is going to be improved, and Kirk Ferentz always has a good offensive line. It's the defense that is the question mark right now, and I'm actually going to go with the Nebraska win over. Nebraska needs to beat Iowa, even if Nebraska doesn't make the playoff.
They do need to beat Iowa.
They need now. You know where I fall in this, but I can be real about it too. Nebraska needs to beat Iowa. They get them at home. This is probably the most talented team that Matt Rhule has had. Should have beat Iowa last year, didn't.
Statistically, they ran roughshod over Iowa. I mean, that game still bothers me.
So
because that was the statistical beatdown in that game. To me, is still freaking just mind-blowing that they lost that game.
So I have Nebraska at 10-2. You've got them at 9-3. If they go 10-2, they're in the playoff. Would you agree with that?
If they go 10-2, or if they go 9-3, I think they finish in the top 7 of the sorry, we're not at the 28.
We're not at the 28 mark yet. Yeah. We're only at the 12 mark. 9-3 doesn't get you in.
Yeah, I don't think 9-3 gets you in, but I think 9-3 makes Husker fans happy.
100, because 9 wins was always that benchmark.
Yeah, in a 12-team playoff, if Nebraska comes out 9 regular season wins and has a chance to go to a bowl game and pick up that 10th win, I think fans are good with that. I really do. Now I think they're way better with a playoff spot. 10-2, we'd have to actually work out a full schedule to see who's going and who's not, and what those records are going to be. Because I think 10-2 very much can still have you in that gray zone. If you're 10-2 and not playing in a conference title game, I don't think you make it. If you're 10-2 and you go to the conference title game, then I think you got a chance of sneaking in.
Of the wins you picked, is there anyone that you go, okay, this could be one that realistically, for like me, USC is that game, right? I picked Nebraska to beat USC. However, if they lost that one, I wouldn't be overly shocked. Is there a win there? And the loss that I think they could win would be Minnesota. That would be, if I were to flip 2 games, I would flip the Minnesota game to a win, and I would flip the USC game to a loss. But I'm sticking with my original one. Is there anyone that you could see a flip?
Minnesota, in my mind, is the flip. I could see that as a flip. I picked wins over both USC and UCLA.
Yeah.
I could same thing. I could see USC pulling out a win there too. That's a team that's all 4-star guys.
So
okay, hey, I got to go back. I'm looking at those stats from that Iowa game last year.
You'll puke.
Dear God.
You'll puke.
334 total yards to 164. Passing. Nebraska 190 to 115 for Iowa. Rushing yards 144 to 49. We basically had 100 more rushing yards than Iowa. First downs 20 to 5.
It will give you and most Husker fans nightmares.
Third down efficiency, Nebraska 8 of 17. And it's a little less than 50%. Not great. Iowa 0 for 10.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, who won the game?
Total plays.
Who won the game?
Total plays. Nebraska 76. Iowa 41.
And who won the game?
And here, time of possession, Nebraska. It was basically a 40-minute to 20-minute time of possession favor for Nebraska.
What's the final score of the game?
Here's where they lost it. Fumbles lost. Nebraska 2, Iowa none, and 1 big play on defense.
See?
13-10 loss. God, that just... A season later, I'm still just like...
So if Nebraska is to go, in my mind, 10-2, in your mind, 9-3, where does it happen? Does it happen on the offensive line? Does it happen with Dylan Raiola? Does it happen with the defense? I know it's a combination, but what group has to perform?
I think Nebraska's defense, I don't think they're quite as good as they were last year overall, but I think it's a very good, very solid defense that I think I don't think anybody's going to sit back. I hope I don't end up eating my words when I say this. I don't think anybody at the end of the season looks back at Nebraska's defense and goes, that's why we lost these games. It's because of the defense. I think it happens a few places. Number one, I would love to see a lot more offensive efficiency. I want to see that offensive line perform well. And if they do that, I think you see a reduction in penalties and a reduction in turnovers. Because the big three things that we've been harping about for years, turnovers, penalties, special teams miscues, they clean those up, you're going to win a lot more games. I think they do clean those up even more. And I think on offense, with better offensive line play, more consistency on the offensive line, more consistency in the running game, I think that really opens up stuff for Rhule in the passing game.
All right, let's dive into a position group that you're passionate about. That is the pipeline, but they're not the pipeline. They're the offensive line. You are the pipeline. Do you like this group? Because this has been a group we've talked about for the last 6-7 years that just has not been consistent. Really, maybe the last 15 years we've been talking about this group.
Yeah, and it's, the thing that I'm looking at here is you've got a couple of guys. You got Elijah Pritchett, who's got a guy who's 3 years at Alabama, started 12 games in his time at Alabama. That's reasonably solid in my mind. It's not like because we've gotten guys who are like former 5-star recruit from Georgia, and you go look and it's like, well, the guy's got like 17 special team snaps in 4 years, and that's it. Okay, well, there's a 5-star kid who, granted, you're playing D1 football in the SEC, you're pretty damn good, but you're not a D1 5-star kid who panned out at a D1 5-star level. So when you look at Pritchett, I look at him and I think, okay, well, here's a guy that actually has started a lot of games in his 2 non-redshirt years at Alabama. That's pretty freaking good. I think there's a guy who's going to be a major contributor. You got Rocco Spindler. Hell of an offensive lineman at Notre Dame the last couple of years, played in the playoffs. There's a lot of experience there, and I think he's a very good offensive guard. So I think there's 2 guys that add an upgrade to the picture here. You got Gunnar Gatula, who last year very quietly I thought was one of Nebraska's best performers on the offensive line. And then you've got a few other guys like Evans, the big kid from Mount Pleasant. I just had a complete brain. I'm with you. I'm brain farting as well. Yeah. Anyway, but you've got the guy. You've got some of the horses to have a pretty good starting lineup. The thing that'll be interesting to me is the last time I really looked at a lineup they had for a scrimmage. Initially, I thought you would probably be seeing Gunnar Gatula at left tackle and Pritchett at right tackle. And what I'm seeing now is they're kind of playing around with Teddy Prohaska and Pritchett at left tackle, Gunnar and Tyler Knack at right tackle. So, and I think Knack's a kid who's going to end up being a very good O-lineman. Some of the people I talked to down in Lincoln, for a guy who's hasn't gotten a lot of name publicity, he's a guy that a lot of the guys in Lincoln tell me is a really, really good offensive lineman and could seriously make some noise this year. So that'll be interesting to see. The other thing I think that'll be interesting is how does Teddy do? You got a guy with multiple major surgeries on both knees, both shoulders. And prior to him injuring his knee, against Michigan, his true freshman year, that was a guy who was surefire NFL talent. I've never seen a guy that big, that tall, get that low to the ground and maintain leverage against a 6'3", 320-pound D tackle. That was a rare talent. It's hard to go through the injuries he's gone through and be the same player. Well, so this is, I think, I got to double check. This is his 6th year, maybe 5th year. I got to go do them.
It seems like Teddy Prohaska has been
there forever.
Yes. He came out the same year your nephew did, right?
Yeah. So he would have been a 21 high school grad. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5th year. So this is his 5th year. He's like the greatest dude ever. If you sit and talk with him, amazing young man. I would love to see him have an awesome year. I would love to see him be able to come back, because the setbacks he's had would have forced damn near anybody else into retirement, and he's still out there battling. So I'll be interested to see how he does. The other person on that O-line, Turner Corcoran's still around.
Again, names that just don't go away.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. I swear to God, I saw somebody. You don't hear about them in terms of potential starting lineup, but I keep hearing people talking about, like, well, where's he going to fit in? And I don't know. Maybe he actually did use up his eligibility, and I'm totally talking out of the side of my mouth here. But it's one of those things where you look at him. I mean, he's still on the roster, still on the thing here. He's a senior, like, for I think the 3rd year now.
An 8th year senior. But again, you bring up Teddy Prohaska, and we saw it with Thomas Fidone. We saw it with a lot of guys. The one thing you can't predict as the season goes along is injuries, right? I mean, and where is Nebraska's depth at this point? But
I do think when you look at it, and that's the thing about the tackle spot that I think is interesting, is that where I was pretty confident you were going to see Gunnar Gatula at one tackle and Pritchett at the other tackle. And now all of a sudden, Teddy's back in the mix. All of a sudden, Tyler Knack's here in the mix. And you're talking about these guys getting a lot of playing time and potentially being the full-time starters. When I was thinking it was going to be, I mean, there's a scenario here where your 2 starting offensive tackles are Knack and Prohaska, and it's not Pritchett and Gatula. That would be a surprise to me, but that also means is all of a sudden you've got quality depth. And that's something I don't think we've had. I mean, in the past, if you lost one offensive tackle, by that position was tanked. I mean, all right, well, we're going to move a guy who's probably a better guard out to tackle now. So those are things that are interesting to me that I do want to see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting to see who, when they line up against Cincinnati on that first offensive series, it's going to be interesting to see who your starting offensive tackles are. So I think the interior 3 is going to be pretty locked in, but it's, while there might be some surprises, if there is, it's going to be a pleasant surprise in my mind, just because, kind of like what you mentioned, for the first time in I don't know how long, you got quality depth at a key position on that team.
All right. We are going to be back next week. We promise. No more
Cincinnati breakdown.
Cincinnati breakdown.
That I don't know. That keep in mind, this Cincinnati bread. That's the preview for the not the post game report.
That sounds like a song title, Owen. You should write a song called Cincinnati Breakdown. He's just shaking his head, going, "Just shut up, Dad. Shut up. Don't talk to me about that." Make sure to go to Husker Hounds. Get your Husker gear for the first game of the season. Also, volleyball gear. They got you all loaded up.
Preseason number 1.
If you need a lawyer, and you at some point in your life, you're going to need a lawyer, go see Connor Orr. And when you wear really, really comfortable shoes,
check out the Accelerate. Big fan.
Gdefy Shoes. Go to gdefy.com. And on your checkout, enter Doc Talk 50. You'll get yourself a nice little discount. And you'll be styling around in some good-looking shoes, and you'll be feeling a lot better because your feet feel better. For Owen Justice, who's producing this podcast, for Dr. Rob Zatechka, I'm Travis Justice. We will talk to you next week as we get ready to kick off the season on the Doc Talk Podcast. See you next time.